Pakistan is back in the news. This time it's not about its economy or the political turmoil, but this time Pakistan is facing the nature's wrath. Pakistan's government has declared a national emergency after devastating floods ravaged parts of the country. Over 1,000 people have died. Around 45 million people have been displaced. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif visited the southern Sindh region to examine the devastation. Pakistan is experiencing its worst floods since 2010. The army has been deployed to provide relief to the worst affected areas. Floods have impacted various regions like Hyderabad, Sukur and Jacobabad in the Sindh province. Meanwhile, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province, Punjab and Balochistan regions are the worst affected, reporting more than half of the country's over 1,000 casualties. Meanwhile, officials said that Balochistan's regional capital Quetta has been cut off from the rest of the country indefinitely as highways and bridges have been swept away by the floodwaters. Large parts of Balochistan remain submerged.
मैंने इसको बनाना शुरू कर दिया और मकान बना लिया तो इनके अभी तकरीबन 8 साल हो गए तो कोई भी काम नहीं हुआ इनका। इन्होंने ये दीवारें लगानी थी, ये मांदा बनाना था, पक्का करना थी, पक्की दीवारें लगानी थी और बिजली देनी थी, गैस देनी थी, कोई काम भी नहीं किया। सिर्फ एक बिजली, वो भी इनके पीछे लग के 8 साल में जो है ना बिजली मिली।
The rising floodwaters in Pakistan's Swat Valley caused the luxury hotel to collapse. Guests had been evacuated on the previous day because of severe waterlogging. No casualties were reported. Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has asked for international help in battling deadly flood damage. The Prime Minister even conducted an area survey of the Sindh province on Friday. He announced free medical treatments and relief worth about $113 to each household affected by the floods. Sharif made the following statement after concluding his survey.
When the plane was landing just now, I looked down with great concentration. It looked like the angry waves of the river Indus had spread across the whole region. The flood of 2010 was a very huge flood in our history, but I feel this flood has caused much greater havoc. There is extreme devastation all around. More than 900 people have died.
In Sindh province itself, the Provincial Disaster Agency has said around 2 million acres of cultivated crops has been wiped out in the province. It is important to understand that most of the farmers who live here are dependent on agriculture as a source of income.
ये हमारे फसल जो है कम से कम 3, 4, 5 हज़ार एकड़ ज़मीन है जिसमें चावल सुपर होते हैं जो आप भी खाते हो हम भी खाते हैं मतलब ये सारा हमारा खत्म हो गया।
Pakistan's Minister of Climate Change had announced on Thursday that a war room had been set up in Islamabad to lead relief efforts. Residents of the city of Hyderabad in Sindh did not believe enough had been done to help them.
घर से बाहर मोटर लगाना पड़ती है या डब्बों से बाहर फेंकना पड़ता है। ये आलम है आपके सामने पूरा पानी पानी है कोई कुछ नहीं ये देखने भी नहीं आ रहा पानी है भाई।
And for more on this situation, our Pakistan Bureau Chief Anas Malik has sent us this report from Charsada in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province of Pakistan.
Well, I'm at the Munda Headworks Bridge. This bridge was constructed by the Brits in 1921. The bridge, the area to my left, is the water that is flowing in from Swat, and the area to my right, my camera person will pan and show in a while. That is the area that is going towards Nowshera and onwards. Now this is the barrage that basically separates the flow of water into the city areas from Swat, and as you can see, this has literally been swept away. Last night, as what officials tell us, that about 240,000 cubic water passed through from here and sweeping this, breaking this bridge and sweeping it away. A lot of population has also been relocated. Roughly about 400 families, as what we are being told. They have been rescued, they have been relocated. People are being kept at bay. If I can just show you around, you see those are safety ropes that have been put across. Police have been deployed. There are rescue officials from the 1122 that have been deployed as well, and they are preventing people to go beyond these areas in order to prevent any loss of human life. But by and large, this explains the magnitude of the destruction that these floods have been wreaking havoc across the country.
All right, let's talk more about the situation still in Pakistan. And joining us live now is Dr. Jamil Ahmed Khan from Karachi. Dr. Jamil is a political analyst and former ambassador. Welcome to WION, Dr. Jamil.
Oh, thank you very much for having me with you.
Now, Pakistan has been hit by twin calamities. First, there was the earthquake and now the flooding. Is the Pakistan government that incapable of handling these crises? And are there no structures or policies in place that sort of guard or avert these disasters leading to such devastation?
No, Eric, in fact, the earthquake, that was handled so well. And that was even praised by the United Nations, the World Food Program, other agencies, the way it was handled, the kind and size of the disaster, the magnitude of the disaster of earthquake 2005. Well, that was handled quite well. Now, if we talk about this flood of 2010, yes, that had also gone beyond the proper management of it. But this time, as you heard the Prime Minister of Pakistan, that this time it's probably going to be even worse than 2010. OCHA released its report today, and OCHA, in its report, it says that there are about 218,000 houses totally destroyed, and the damaged house are about 400,000, 452,000.
Right.
Crop which is totally been washed off, as you were showing, that is also endorsed by the United Nations OCHA. That is about 22 million acres of crop totally washed away. And this is a kind of death and devastation which you had just shown in the footage. That by itself is, the kind of a size and magnitude that countries would find it very hard to really handle. Yes, there are some mismanagement, and the rescue and relief operation is far from what it should have been. But basically, we have to really also correlate the size and magnitude of this, and that's why the flash
Right.
appeal has been launched by the United Nations. That's why the Prime Minister of Pakistan has also. There is a structured mechanism. Whenever there is a calamity of this level and this kind, whenever there is an emergency of this level and this kind, the appeal goes to the international community, and more importantly, the United Nations. And the United Nations
Dr.
is already...
Jamil, let's talk more about that, what you stated there. The Prime Minister has declared a state of emergency and the government is seeking international help. Which countries can come in and assist, and what sort of assistance is high or top priority at the moment?
Yes, all the items which is needed for the rescue and relief operation and followed by the rehabilitation. For example, the rescue operation at the moment, which is already there, all the infrastructure has been damaged. So first of all, what has to really provide the kind of a linkage and the transport where we are able to give the relief, and the rescue operation, which is already there, a certain far-flung area which is inaccessible, and that needs to be, perhaps the government has to consider, Pakistan government, to drop ration. But the entire country, about 80% of Balochistan is inundated with about so much of water, hardly any dry place you'll find even to throw or supply the ration from the skies. Likewise in the Sindh as well. There are about total altogether in Pakistan 116 districts which have been affected, and the government has already declared calamity in more than about 50 districts of the country. So these are the main problems, and how to address these problems. WHO has its resources, UNHCR has its resources, UNICEF has its resources, and more importantly, now the health-related problems have started. The drinking water, the government did not have the capacity to supply it to the kind and size of the population which needs that, and as a result, the entire gastro problem has started. That is going to have another devastation and other big issue for the country and for the government. So these are the areas where the flash appeal would cater for, by supplying medicine, by supplying food, by supplying tentage, by evacuating people, by taking care of the displaced people, which UNHCR normally does in most of the countries when such kind of a calamity takes place.
Right.
So even in Rwanda, even in East Timor last year, once they had a problem, there was a flash appeal, and there was the international community. They joined their hands together, and they had extended their assistance through the United Nations. So I don't think there's anything new in it. But yes, the disaster of this kind after 60 years, and by the way, we all living in this Southeast Asia, we all are under that climate change negative effects on our respective countries. And Pakistan is on that fault line where the climate can hit again and again. So we have to really take preventive measures, mitigating measures according to our national disaster management plan, keeping in view the fast changing climate, which is causing really so much of difficulties for the entire world, and more importantly for the South Asian countries. Bangladesh really had this flash, the flood just a couple of years ago, and they had to go for that flash appeal by United Nations. Okay. So we are in a vulnerable situation so far as this entire region is concerned. Entire world, as a matter of fact, but this region is more vulnerable. Every 36 years, there's 1 inch water rise in the ocean, and that goes into the skies. And once it goes to the skies with the kind of temperature which is rising, it comes down, and the heavy downfall. This time, the rainfall was about 536 times more than what it was before.
All right.
So this magnitude, I don't think it was possible to handle in such a short span of time. But yes,
Dr. Jamil,
something that better. Yes.
Dr. Jamil, we have to leave it there. Thank you very much for your time. I have been talking to Dr. Jamil Khan, who is a political analyst and former ambassador. Thank you very much for your inputs and for talking to WION.
It was pleasure being with you. Thank you.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.